Hello and welcome to a brand new 5 Heart Podcast live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And if you're not watching us live, you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform in the future. So hello to you in the future. We hope that you survived the night. We are excited to be here tonight. To my left is Minnie Hunt, the new regular, the new face and voice on the show. No John this evening. I don't think we're going to be seeing our founder and fearless leader due to the fact that he wasn't feeling that great earlier today. And that is, I say this not dismissively, but like that is his out. Just like sometimes I have, my kids as an out, and Minnie, we have to find a good excuse for you to take a night off or week off here and there. But I am, as you can read and see, my demotion to panelist, Greg Mahachko, and we are excited to have with us, I believe, technically former Corn Nation Nebraska men's basketball writer, Kevin Knight. Kevin, hello, sir. How are you? What just happened? You are muted, and Minnie disappeared. Your mic is not connected. We're off to a great start. We got to find out what happened to Minnie.
There we go. How's that?
Kevin, it's great to see you again, my friend. It's been a while. He said, and then Kevin disappeared. What is going on?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me change USB ports because this
Fred Sacco, one of our regulars, says, "Did someone trick Minnie into saying her name backwards?" That is an old Superman comic book reference, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it, but I believe it's Mr. Mitzelplix, and so if you could trick him into saying his name backwards, he disappears. We'll wait and find out what happened to Minnie. Aaron says the technical difficulties are still better than the State of the Union address. Fred says that we're starting fast just like a Husker offense. So, Kevin, I think I can hear you now with some regularity. Hello?
Yep, sorry about that. I guess the USB port there didn't like me tonight, so I had to find a different one. But
all good.
Yeah,
all good.
Yeah. I was saying, unfortunately, former Corn Nation writer at this point, a recovering Nebraska ball writer. Still happy to hang out in the Slack room with everybody and drop some thoughts here and there.
What I've learned, because I've been in a regular Slack chat member almost probably from the beginning. I mean, that they've had that Slack chat room going for a solid decade. You have to do something really bad to get kicked out. So you leaving us for a Sparty site wasn't a flagrant enough foul.
Well, to be fair, it was changing Spartan websites. I moved from the only colors within the SB Nation network to we launched Spartans Illustrated as part of the Rivals network. So there's my plug. Please consider reading Spartans Illustrated if you want any MSU coverage. Sorry, SB Nation, but
all good. Technically, I'm not supposed to be saying this, but the podcast is not technically affiliated with SB Nation anymore.
True.
They did a whole rework. Anyway, Aaron needs to calm down, maybe take a cold shower. It says, Minnie coming back with the robe since John isn't showing up. Stop it, Aaron Rostovsky, our baseball writer. So it has been a while. I mean, gosh, you used to have a podcast way back in the day with Nate McHugh and Patrick Gearhart right here on Corn Nation, or I should say over there on Corn Nation, called Bangerangs and Daggers. And
best podcast on the internet.
You're a guest. You're a guest. I'm not gonna fight you. I'm just not gonna agree. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I do have to correct the record. I love the glowing write up about me, but I did actually spend 3 years living outside of Big Ten country, and Big Ten country missed me so much. Jim Delaney did me the solid of bringing it to me. So I grew up in Michigan, did not actually go to Michigan State, though I will not bore you with the long list of family members that did. So lifelong Spartan fan, married a Cornhusker who I met out here in Washington, D.C., where I moved after college. And good God, that was a very long time ago. I don't really want to date myself with how long ago that was. It's been a long time, long time. But I sort of hinted at it, though, as I said. There was a 3-year period between when I moved out here and when Maryland officially joined and started competing in the Big Ten. So, one more fun fact: Washington, D.C. itself, its present border is actually made up of territory given to it by Maryland. So, in a way, I still sort of live in Maryland, which I did in my first 2 years out here before moving into D.C. proper. So, Big Ten country missed me so much it followed me.
That we absorbed you into the fold. I have to ask, did you share your appearance tonight on social media? Because we have multiples of our regular viewership.
I did not actually.
Okay.
I spent a good chunk of the day buried down with my head in the sand for work. It's my busy period at my day job. So
Gotcha. Well, everybody who's here, we appreciate you. Stick around. We do this every week. Minnie is back. Just Minnie, as soon as you disappeared, I got blamed for it. Vince said that Greg really didn't want to follow the script and gave Minnie the boot.
Actually, I quit because he didn't want to follow the script.
Oh, yeah. And
kidding.
Groveling back. No, that's a running joke, Kevin, is that what Minnie has brought to the show in the couple of months that she's been a regular on the show. She started in the Chatterfields in the comment section, and I don't want to say this in a negative context, but promoted herself. She's like, can I join? And it just worked out. But what she brings, among other things, is a sense of organization that the Five Heart podcast has never experienced in the entirety of its run. So she always makes notes, and she gets those notes to me Thursday at 6 o'clock or by 6 o'clock. And Thursday at 8:45, I open up those notes. So the notes are open. But that's where we're going to be. So Minnie, while you were gone restarting the computer, we got a little refresher on Kevin, as he called himself, a recovering Nebraska men's basketball writer, now at Spartans Illustrated, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Yep.
And is Spartans Illustrated one of those pay sites?
True. We are a subscription, although plenty of our content is not behind a paywall. So, certainly I'll always consider double checking. We have a lot of coverage not behind a paywall for anybody who wants to read anything about MSU. Like, for example, MSU and Nebraska will be taking each other on in the Big Ten tournament tomorrow. Preview by me is up on our website. So
tremendous. What we do is it used to be in the early stages of doing live in front with a studio audience, we would star the comments and save the good questions for later. We've really built a nice community, like a family here on Thursday nights. So everybody's in on the joke. As I was saying, Minnie sends me the notes. 8:45, I open the notes, and Fred, who's a regular, says 9 o'clock. Greg ignores the notes. I do tend to go out of order. Aaron says describes you, Minnie, as the Five Heart Trapper Keeper.
I love that.
I remember the old Trapper Keeper. And Don Dre says, Big Ten now coast to coast. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later about, because most Husker fans are not Big Ten lifers. We were Big 8, Big 12. Now we're Big Ten. And a little later on in the show, I do want to get your take on the Big Ten conference at the current level of expansion, the more proposed expansion. But following the list, I do want to get your thoughts. And I know you said, right before we started rolling sound, that due to work and other commitments, you haven't had a chance to watch as much, but certainly you followed the buzz around this Nebraska men's basketball team and what they've put together, undefeated in conference play at the PBA this year. The only loss that they had at the Vault coming in early December against Creighton. You spent some time writing and following Nebraska men's basketball, and even the site that's off to the side. I can't think of it. I can see my hand, but I can't think of the word.
Coordination?
No, the
Spartan's Illustrated or the only colors?
The actual site, like you have the vision here and the site that's on the side. What is that? It begins with a P. I can't. Somebody help me out. I can't be this dumb.
You have.
What is?
You lost me.
What is the site that's over here?
Peripheral vision. Is that it?
Thank you.
Yeah, peripheral vision. Okay.
I knew we'd get there. I just really hoped that it wouldn't.
Bingo.
but you had some awareness of Fred Hoiberg and this year's Nebraska squad.
Yeah, certainly. I think this season is the season that everybody had kind of hoped for back in the day when he got the job. It's exciting to see, frankly. I was incredibly excited by Nebraska going out and finally getting a big name like Hoiberg, and he had a rough start, certainly, getting around that. I have been on and talked at length with John and a couple other folks over the years in pods about what I think went wrong at the start. But short of the December 10th matchup against Michigan State that I actually covered in person, it's been great to see all of those home wins for Nebraska besides that one. So no, it's great though. I think it goes without saying Nebraska is a lock on the Big Ten tournament at this, or the NCAA tournament at this point. Unless they like tank in the Big Ten tournament, which isn't likely to happen. It will be the second time ever that they'll get the Friday start. Good opportunity at finally making it to Saturday for the first time ever, regardless of the format. It would be the first time ever that they would play on Saturday, even pre-Nebraska or Maryland and Rutgers joining. The Huskers have never played in the semifinal of the Big Ten tournament. Just need one lousy win. And Minneapolis is not that far from Nebraska. So, bring the good mojo, bring what didn't get brought against those darn Jayskers.
Right. Has it always been, is it amplified more in this year, recent year, Big Ten teams struggling on the road? Like, is that something that's just in the history of the conference where it's tough if you're even if you're a top team to find success on the road?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely on the higher end of teams struggling this year versus other years. I don't have the exact stats, but the number of teams who took until February or so to get their first Big Ten road win has got to be up there. And historically, the Big Ten leads the country in attendance, not counting COVID, for over 40 years nationally. Consistently top to bottom, you've got some of the toughest venues to compete in. I mean, no, you don't have, you don't have the Duke or the North Carolina or the Kentucky or the Kansases of the world. But having said that, you still got world famous arenas, or at least college basketball famous arenas.
Sure.
Places like Mackey, Assembly Hall, the Breslin Center, the Kohl Center, Xfinity Center any given night. Like you have some of the toughest places to play in the country in Big Ten men's basketball. So it's a tough place to play by all means, and it's tough to win on the road no matter what conference you're in. But year in and year out, it's usually a little more tough to win on the road in the Big Ten. But this year it's especially so because so many of the teams are frankly kind of middling. It's not a great year to have elite teams. And historically, the Big Ten doesn't have a lot of elite teams most seasons. There's been a few exceptions to that. You usually have, 2-3 really, really great elite teams at best. This year, I think you pretty much have Purdue, and that's about it.
Well,
and then after that, you've got good teams.
But we beat Purdue twice. So isn't Nebraska also a really great team?
Well, women beat them 3 times, including today. The men, I think, just played them once.
We played them back in January, right? Didn't we just play them again? No, that was Rutgers. Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't believe Nebraska, either they didn't play at Mackey or they didn't win at Mackey. It was one of the two. Purdue doesn't have a lot of losses, but I
right,
think
actually.
almost all of them have been on the road.
Yep. No, I think we
They
lost.
fell to both of the NUs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Good memory. See, you are up on this.
What has Nebraska's rise to, I mean, I know on Sunday against Michigan they can secure the number 3 spot, but they can't drop out of the top 4 this weekend, can they?
No, I think they're pretty much a lock on either the 3 or 4 seed. I know on the numbers, Michigan State got eliminated from the 5 seed tonight with, I think it was Wisconsin's win. And the odds are either number 6, then number 8, and number 7 seed is going to be where they land at. But in that order is the most likely of which they're likely to get based on the numbers. But Nebraska is a lock for playing on Friday at this point, as I understand it.
So would you categorize that as your biggest surprise of the 23-24 men's basketball season, or is there something else that was even more shocking than Nebraska elevating its game?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think in part, I'd say Ohio State finally pulling the trigger on firing Chris Holtmann was a little surprising. I feel like he's been on the hot seat for a long time. Indiana tanking as much as they have has also been kind of surprising. Northwestern's had a great season. I wouldn't say them doing as well as they have is as surprising as Nebraska, maybe. No offense to Nebraska. It's a tough Hoiberg team. But also they've just done really, really well this season. And I think, handful more losses might have been what one might have expected out of the Huskers compared to how they've done, which isn't a knock on them. That's still a good resume that likely would have made the NCAA tournament. I'm just saying, they're up here and expecting more like right here versus where they've been, way down there.
I don't think it's unfair at all to say that Nebraska exceeded expectations this year. And you talk about, we mentioned Purdue. When Purdue came to Lincoln, they were the number 1 team in the country, and Nebraska, held them off. Then a couple weeks go by, and I fully understand and almost appreciate the fact that after that big win, there's a little bit of a letdown. I don't have the exact schedule pulled up, but I think that's when they went on the road and lost to Wisconsin. And then they rebounded. They had a lot of those back and forth. Again, they didn't win on the road until, Indiana, I believe, just a couple weeks ago. But they rally when Wisconsin comes, and Wisconsin's the top team in the conference at that point. I think number 6 in the country, and they hold them off for an exciting win. So Nebraska basketball did everything that Husker fans wish Nebraska football would do, and that's win the games you're expected to win and then pull out a few surprises.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great example of where it's true. It's tough to win on the road in the Big Ten, and that doesn't matter if you're the number 1 team in the country or a top 10 team in the country, or you're going to a venue where that is the team. In the case of, say, Kohl Center, one very tough place to win, frankly, and that's a perfect example of it. That Nebraska is. Had it tough trying to win in a lot of tough venues. And I'm trying to think, they did get the win at Rutgers, or they lost at Rutgers. I think it was they lost. And I remember a couple of people making comments about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to say we won.
I know they beat Rutgers at Nebraska.
Yes, but I think we also, you know what? It went into overtime. You're right.
Yeah, and Jersey Mike's Arena, formerly the Rack. I always thought the Rack sounded a lot cooler.
I agree,
but Jersey Mike's make good subs. But yeah, But no, I mean, even that's a tough place to play. And Pical has made Rutgers a year in, year out tough team to beat. I mean, I know Rutgers football is, and Nebraska are football fans, but frankly, Rutgers is a respectable basketball program. And in that regard, it's always nice to needle folks a little bit when they try to give Rutgers a hard time or give a hard time about losing to Rutgers. And it's like, but it's in men's basketball. That's pretty impressive, even though they're a little down this year. But no, I mean, that all that to say, it's just a perfect example of why it's tough to win on the road. Places where it shouldn't be tough to win are places like Penn State, where you're basically playing in a mausoleum, frankly. Right. But yeah.
What real quick, and then we're gonna take a time out to do some housekeeping. What did you think about that maneuver by Penn State to play? I think was it Iowa in the what I think was the volleyball gymnasium. They realized, all right, we're only going to get a couple thousand people. Let's put it in the smaller gym and make it a better environment. What's your thought on that? Because I know the opposition was salty.
Yeah. I think it was Illinois, actually. And I mean, it was a great move,
right.
Frankly. It is their former basketball arena, actually. When they moved to whatever, I'm blanking on the venue name, that they're at now, it was way overbuilt. It was built as a multi-purpose concert arena more so than a place where they were going to get a lot of basketball fans. So, I mean, it was a great idea. I think Ohio State's talked about doing that because similarly, they also massively overbuilt Value City Arena or whatever it's called. I forget, they like changed the name of it or something at some point, but it's a gigantic arena that's overbuilt, kind of feels more corporate-y, and frankly Xfinity Center feels a little corporate-y, but at least it can get really loud and very intimidating with the right crowd, and the wall is pretty impressive for the student section as well, even if the flag's a little gaudy on the eyes. But yeah, I mean, it was a great decision. There was also just to plug in one more time, MSU also did that, but for a non-conference exhibition game, I think it was, which was on anniversary of the Game of Change, which was where a school from Bama that had black players snuck out in the middle of the night. No, I'm sorry. It was white players from Bama who snuck out in the middle of the night to play a team that had black players that they weren't being allowed to. And they used Jenison Fieldhouse for that game. And so it was an anniversary of the Game of Change. And so they set up the court. They did those two teams and then Michigan State versus somebody. And it was either exhibition or non-conference. So I really like doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska's changed over the venue to volleyball. I'm not sure that they could pull that off, but once in a while doing stuff like that, it's kind of fun.
Let's take a quick, I say timeout, but we're not really going anywhere because where would we go? Just want to remind everybody to take this opportunity. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button. Make sure that you also, if you don't, subscribe to the channel, the Coordination channel that is, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified, as awfully redundant, every time we drop a new link for a live stream or just another short video when John is ripping and rolling with his post-game overreactions. That's where you can find them. So make sure you do that on YouTube. We have a celebrity amongst the Chatterfield crowd here tonight, and that is our very own Haas Reuter. Haas is watching and engaging. Haas, if you want the link and want to join on, just let me know. You could anytime. Haas has open invitation, but he says, so this is what it's like to be one of the Chatterfields, eh?
And
MK says it's like Coordination All-Stars in here. Not wrong. We're covering all the bases. And Haas did ask if what I'm drinking is a Yuengling. Yes, it is the official beverage of the Five Heart Podcast and my own heart, and that is Yuengling, the oldest brewery in America. It's quite delicious. Fred, however, has a theory, and it's not that there's Yuengling in this can, but strawberry daiquiri as well. Don't think I've ever had a strawberry daiquiri. I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy it. I like to stick to beer. Minnie, what's your beverage of choice?
It depends.
Okay.
Usually tea. Usually tea. I
Kevin,
know.
beverage of choice?
I'm pretty simple guy. Just vodka soda most of the time is an easy go-to. So
I had a realization today, something of a come to Jesus moment where like, I need to lose weight. Probably don't need to, drink as many carbs, but I still have more Yingling, so we'll have to wait at least till the case is
Yeah,
gone.
exactly.
Can't do that. I mean, look,
Oh,
if they're gonna not pay for the sponsorship, but I'm still gonna have the beer, I'm gonna drink the beer on the show. So, so that is
okay,
that.
Greg, you
Yes,
are
ma'am.
throwing me. We started with men's basketball.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really did not read my notes.
No, because
Okay, so I'm having problems with my computer, and then you throw this at me.
okay, well, the reason being, we have a guest who specializes in men's basketball.
Oh,
I didn't really want to throw
true.
women's basketball at our men's basketball rider.
Thank you.
Kevin, do you
Thank
want to talk women's
Very
basketball,
good
or
point.
you?
yeah, no, let's definitely do it.
Because
I do
we played
I do
tonight.
women's from SU as well. So
Well,
Kevin.
they announced the Big Ten first team today, and it'll surprise nobody that Alexis Markowski was a first team selection. I think there was a player from that state over that also was a first team selection. I can't remember her name. I don't know if she's that good.
I'm pretty sure she won an Oscar or an ESPY, I suppose, but I don't know beyond that.
All right, backing up here because again, when beer
You
gets
know, they said real quick about Caitlin Clark. So she's declared that she's going into the WNBA. Obviously, she's going to be like the first pick. The typical salary for the WNBA is like 80 grand. Right
and it's
now,
subsidized by the NBA too. So
right now, she already has NIL deals for like she's like the 5th highest paid athlete in the country. So all those NIL deals are going to follow her. Like $3 million.
the WNBA salary, right? I don't disagree that it'll be on top of any endorsements that the Nike deal will go beyond her Iowa career. I don't know what other, for lack of a better term, I would say legal entanglements as far as moving some of the NIL deals from NIL to full on actual professional endorsements. Yeah, she'll be fine.
I know.
But at the end of the day,
it's crazy.
the amount of eyeballs that are going to be following her career are going to decrease drastically. I don't see. I'm going to sound a little bit like Bill Burr here, but like I don't watch the WNBA. I don't know anybody who does.
Well, maybe that's the intention. Maybe that's she's hot. She wants to shed light on the WNBA.
I mean,
Hopefully.
if Iowa fans spend so much money on Peacock right now, what's to say that they won't do whatever subscription deal they need to continue watching Caitlin Clark bring all those baskets and flopping home to Iowa City from whatever
insane.
WNBA franchise she's with. I would add really quick, in addition to Alexis Markowski earning first team All Big Ten honors, Jazz Shelley also earned second team honors, and Natalie Potts earned Big Ten Freshman of the Year.
Which is, I believe I'd seen that. So thank you, Kevin. Chef's kiss. So we have, let's see. Haas says it's Coors Banquet or Get Out. Let's see. There was something here. Oh, nope, that's not it. This is what I do a lot. Husker Chuck says, I'm glad Minnie's a Husker fan because she looks phenomenal in red. So
yeah.
What I'm not. What about me, Husker Chuck? I'm wearing red. Do I look phenomenal?
You are.
Do I work it? Like what the hell?
You look great.
I don't
Greg,
feel objectified, and I feel bad that you do feel it. Do you feel objectified, Minnie?
Here's the thing. I love red. I have red curtains. I have red artwork. I mean, I go all out, Greg. Remember, we talked about this. When are you going to like decorate a little?
This is perfect because it right into what you said. Aaron says, Minnie breaking out the mom talk less than 30 minutes in. It's a new record. Yeah.
Guys, I'm just trying to help everyone out.
Okay.
The ceiling fan.
The ceiling fan works.
As a
We
focal
tested
point.
it last week. Yeah. But also, I don't know if Kevin can see this. That I'm accused that my lights look like boobs. So this is what we do on Thursday nights. It's wild, and I apologize. You deserve better. All right.
That's good. Meanwhile, I have the inspiration for Nebraska's sower license plate that had to be redone when they realized that they used the sower from Beaumont Tower instead of the Nebraska State Capitol.
Let's see. Husker Chuck says I'm looking kind of Longhornish. Washington. I think it's just the lighting. All right, Husker Chuck. It's very red, sir. No, that doesn't help my cause any. Moving on. Let's move on. Let me look at. Okay. So Nebraska women won today, beating Purdue 64-56. It's the third time that they beat Purdue this season. They are 20-11. They had a fourth quarter cover. It was my understanding. I was not watching the game because who has time to do that during the workday? But I was following along. It's my understanding that the women started out a little sluggish, took a little while to get going and wake up. But yeah, Minnie's notes here. Section 3, subsection A, Article 2 said fourth quarter Nebraska came alive. I can read the notes.
We did. I was going to put more, but I figured you had caught that part at least because let's see. It was about 6 minutes left of the fourth quarter. Their number one player fouls out. Terry was the last name. And then we just started hitting we were on a 14-point run from there. They couldn't stop us. And that's basically the whole game because it was so back and forth the entire time.
Right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Gosh, it took me a long time to get that thought out. Nebraska slow, 7 points in the first quarter, first period. It was tied at halftime, 25-all. And the second half really did belong to Nebraska. They outscored Purdue 15-12 in the third period. And yeah, 24-19. They came away with the win. They didn't shoot great. I think that coach would want them shooting better than 41% from the floor. Certainly better than 66% from the foul line, but that also means they probably only had 3 foul shots and made 2. I mean that's an odd free throw percentage, but if they're going to keep going, then they need to get some of those averages up, some of those percentages.
I feel like Jazz Shelley hit a lot of her threes. It was just like one right after the other, especially on the highlights. Do you know how many threes she hit?
Not offhand, no, sorry.
Hold on. 19 points she finished. I don't know how many threes though. You want those kinds of statistics that I didn't have prepared. I'm sorry. I'm a horrible human being. Haven't we figured that out? I'm a horrible human being. I do what?
We all agree.
Wow. Really didn't expect that, but okay.
Well, you let us abuse you.
Shelley was 4 for 9 from 3-point range. Nebraska overall was 8 for 22.
Yeah, that was not good. But I feel like Jazz Shelley did pretty good at shooting threes. I mean, I feel like that's what you have to do in, women's basketball, men's basketball. You have to go for those threes and hopefully do better than, what was it, 41%.
36.36 or 36.4%. Actually, the overall field goal percentage stat was kind of interesting in that Coincidentally, that's what Michigan State shot in its loss to Nebraska back in December. Again, I did just write the preview for the game tomorrow, so that's how I know that. But Michigan State also only shot 13% from 3-point range in that matchup.
Okay.
They were shorthanded as well, had several injury and health problems early on in the season. And it was also the first Big Ten game in a very weak non-conference schedule under new first-year head coach Robin Freilich. So it actually should be a really interesting matchup. Michigan State's coming in with all the momentum with 5 straight wins. But Nebraska is a good team. And so should be a good one, hopefully.
Michigan State has come off a bye too, right?
Correct. Yeah, they got the double bye as the number 4 seed. Nebraska had to play on Friday as the number 5.
Okay.
I love the interaction in the comments. I don't have an ego. The self-deprecating humor. But Aaron saying that my Googling is not a spectator sport, but then Fred saying that apparently it is because they're all watching me.
Go, Greg, go. Go, Greg, go.
I'm gonna start selling tickets. So here I'm still trying to figure out in the off season. Last week, for example, great example. Minnie, I don't know if you can see the stats in the top left of the corner, but we were 50, 60 viewers. We're over 350 viewers right now, and I'm not sure why. I'm going to take the win and not ask too many questions. But to whomever spread the good word about the 5 Heart podcast, may you and your house be blessed from here till kickoff and beyond. It's just, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm
kickoff
tickled to death.
For spring?
Kickoff for
or regular season?
Regular season.
Okay. Very nice. That was a nice toast.
2084.
Oh, even better.
Make them earn it.
I love it,
All
Greg.
Right. So let me look at the notes some more. Yes, it has been discussed at least a little bit that tomorrow the women play Michigan State. And question for you, Kevin Knight. I was going to say Dark Knight, but you're pretty pale. So how do our best players match up? What does it look like? You can be as biased or as unbiased as you want. Michigan State, Nebraska tomorrow. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think both teams have different strengths, roughly. Obviously, Alexis Murkowski is Nebraska's biggest strength. Giles Shelley's a very powerful guard as well, or very talented guard, rather. Powerful would be more Murkowski's lauding. But no, you've got a good duo in them. Michigan State, on the other hand, runs a very fast-paced game. You've got Moira Joyner, Didi Hageman, Theron Halleck, number of players who do very well for the Spartans, scoring on pushing the game, on assists, things like that. I think they stack up well against each other, but in very different strengths. So in that regard, it'll be interesting. And as I said earlier, that's partly why it should be an interesting rematch, is because Freilich is obviously at the end of her first season rather than at the beginning of her season with a short bench, like she was in December when Nebraska came to town. And it wasn't a close game, but it also wasn't a double-digit loss either by MSU. So in that regard, it should be interesting. Also dangerous, honestly, sitting out until Friday, because a team that's played the day before does come in fresh and ready to play, whereas a team that's only starting can sometimes come out a little flat-footed. So we'll have to see in that regard how MSU does. And by the time you get to Saturday, a team like Nebraska who plays on Thursday might start having some tired legs, missing more shots. But that's a Saturday problem, not a Friday problem that the Huskers might have. And
I might add one other thing. Does MSU have any players from down under?
Nope, there are no Australians. So
advantage
Nebraska. Don't know why.
That's right.
Brando Sports World is here tonight and predicts Nebraska 61, Michigan State 59. And Melissa says Nebraska defense will prevail.
That's right.
So
she knows. Melissa knows what's up.
I'm just, we're also not here to upset our guests. So I say it's going to be 60-60 tie, and then they're going to go to a coin toss, and I don't know.
Okay, I have a question for Kevin. This is going to unite us.
I thought it was going to be for me. I was scared.
Since men's basketball is playing Michigan on Sunday, my question to you is, does Michigan State hate Michigan as much as we do?
I know the answer to this question.
I would rephrase that and ask you if you think you hate Michigan as much as we do.
Yeah, good one.
I was going to say, I think
that's
they
the
hate
answer
Michigan
I was looking for.
So yeah, honestly, I guess Ohio State makes a really big show of it, but I feel like the actual hatred is much stronger for Michigan State fans toward Michigan fans. Michigan fans hate Ohio State fans more because they think of us as the little brother, and we're not worthy of them and whatnot. Which is why they hate Mark D'Antonio so much, is he upset the whole culture in that sense, and showed that MSU does actually have eras where we are better than Michigan. It happened before in the Big Ten, and it happened again under him. Unfortunately, they're back to being really good. Partially thanks to cheating, but I digress. So no, I think it's an interesting competition between whether or not Michigan State or Ohio State hate Michigan most. No offense to any other fan base out there. I just don't think you stack up with us. You might be right there, but
Well, okay, it's okay. My plan is to have a show titled "The Demise of Michigan." And right, I've brought this up before, Greg.
Are you going to run this one past your podcast boss, or are you just going to go rogue?
No, this is
the demise of Michigan.
We have a long off season, and so that's my idea. I think we tackle that. We all come together, and obviously Kevin's in.
I like it. And Fred says, pretty sure that Sparty hates Michigan 100 times more than we do. Husker Chuck seems to agree that Michigan State hates Michigan most, but Michigan hates Ohio State the most.
But we hate Missouri?
No.
Sorry, I got to give you guys a hard time on this because
it'd be UM, right?
It's U of M. Missouri does go by MU. Nebraska goes by NU, and so on and so forth with a Big 8. But I just like to poke fun at friendly needling when folks use Big 8 acronyms for schools that don't go by that acronym. That's all. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, if you're going to say Michigan, say U of M or Michigan or something. When you say MU is Missouri's acronym. So technically, you're
Memphis.
saying MSU hates Missouri, and I don't really give Missouri a lot of thought, to be honest.
Fred says that Minnie's going to go to Ann Arbor, slash some tires, TP some houses, and litter them with Dylan Raiola glossy 8x10s. So we have learned through the course of Minnie's time here as a regular that she's a little bit obsessed. At one point applied to be on the chain gang when Dylan was going to play football down in Arizona.
I think okay. In my defense,
I'd like to hear this.
Because
even Melissa,
I guarantee she would do the same thing in my shoes. If he's playing ball a mile down the street from your house, I like, high school football stuff anyways. Wouldn't you volunteer in some aspect to help out on the football team?
Yeah, that's a very Jim Harbaugh thing to do when he's suspended. that was a Jim Harbaugh dig, just to be clear. It was a chance to bring up the fact that Harbaugh was suspended.
And now this.
I was caught off guard by that. So to bring it up again, I'm not going to pull the young man's name up, but there is a running back. He's the Illinois Gatorade Player of the Year this year, or this past year as a junior, who will be a senior this coming fall, who has a Nebraska offer. And I'm not like running to the school to be like, hey, y'all need some help on the chain gang? If I show up in the stands with this particular sweatshirt on, that's one thing. But I'm not going to be like, hey, buddy, have you thought about Lincoln, Nebraska?
Are you kidding me? Of course you would.
No, I
If
wouldn't.
you met, okay, here's.
I don't. We're not the same. Like, there's a lot of things I can't get away with. Here's $10.
right.
This will give you a bus ticket to Nebraska. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Melissa, how dare you? I thought we were friends.
Yes, I love
we're
it.
not.
You also brought up how you're going to be praying for him at church whenever you go by his school.
I didn't say that.
It's something along those lines. I know.
My church is right by his school. It's
Yeah.
a Catholic high school. It's a Catholic church.
How does he know this?
How does who know this?
Dockerish? Because you told us.
No, I said to my son, I said, hey, would you want to go to a football game this fall? And he says, not really. And my wife says, why would you want to take him to an Althoff high school football game? I said, because there's a running back there with a Nebraska offer. That's all. And she's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Now
but
you
it's
get
bonding.
it. That's
It's bonding with my son. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dragging your son because there's an ulterior motive.
I agree with Aaron. What the hell has happened here? Let's get back on topic.
Okay.
All right. It's time to talk. First of all, I want to double check. Nebraska, Michigan this Sunday at 11 o'clock. Husker Chuck says he's skipping church. Don't forget, this is for everybody but Minnie. Spring forward with your clocks Saturday night. So I don't think my twins understand any of that. So I'm sure I'll be up at the ass crack of dawn. It's just let's get another road win. Let's carry this momentum into the Big Ten tournament because next year I have no idea what to expect from the Big Ten tournament when you add Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC, which brings me to, Big Ten overall questions for our lifelong Big Ten. I was going to say resident, but as he informed us, there were 3 years that he wasn't living in Big Ten country before they absorbed that territory as well. Kevin, historically, is the Big Ten the premier college basketball conference?
No.
Okay. Do you like how I built that up?
I'd say probably I'd give it to the ACC personally. And then, of course, you've got powerhouse programs like Kentucky in the SEC. You've got cheaters like Kansas in the Big 12. You've got Arizona.
Cheaters?
You've got UCLA.
Did you just say cheaters?
I did.
Ooh, tell me more.
I mean, they did have to forfeit their NCAA tournament streak because of their cheating, although they got off pretty light. But I digress.
Okay.
But no, you're
not going to find that under a. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kevin. I just had to inform Minnie that you're not going to find out about Kansas's cheating in a Dylan Raiola Google search. So, sorry.
Okay, thank you. I have to look for something else.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think the Big Ten has years where it is the strongest in the country. I'm not sure that I'd really even say that they're second. It also depends on what era you want to look at too.
Sure.
There's the traditional blue bloods, obviously, where it's not at all in disagreement. You've got Kentucky, you've got North Carolina, you've got Duke, you've got Kansas. Beyond that, there's the traditional blue blood categories of programs like Indiana and UCLA, and then who haven't really done much in 30 plus years, but because they had so much freaking success for so long, prior to that, they're still the blue bloods. And then you've got programs that are arguably modern blue bloods, like the Michigan States, the Villanovas. UConn is definitely right up there as well. And so I think it's kind of tough to really say which conference is the best. The Big East has a lot of great programs. The Big 12 right now is as much as it pains me to say, yeah, exactly. Nothing better than the old school Big East. Yeah. Big 12, I think, is arguably the top conference in the country right now, as much as it pains me to say, because they're a football conference. Who's always kind of, besides Kansas, thought of basketball as an afterthought, but they finally started taking basketball seriously, clearly. No, I mean, the Big Ten, I feel like, is kind of like this weird league where it just depends. Sorry, I need to plug in my laptop here before it dies. It depends on the school. It's a football conference, but at the same time, any given school, there's enough schools that basketball is their bigger sport, or basketball gets close to or just as much interest from fans as football does. I think it's kind of tough to really peg the Big Ten as only a football conference. And in that sense, you've got a Wisconsin who's really good in football, but also really good in basketball. You've got Purdue, who's clearly a basketball school. Indiana's clearly a basketball school. Illinois traditionally has had a lot of really strong seasons. Obviously, Michigan State's a basketball school. We also like football too, but and Maryland's a basketball school.
At times, Ohio State's been both. Go ahead.
I remember Fred asked a serious question, because he always has to. If he's asking a serious question, Fred always has to say serious question, and then what he's asking. Have you noticed that? Otherwise,
I noticed
people think it's a joke. Okay. How long do you think your basketball coach, Izzo, is going to stay with Michigan State then? He's been there a long time, right?
At least a couple more years, I think. If he retires sooner than 3 seasons from now, I think that would probably be on the early side. But if he has many more seasons left than 3, I think that'll also probably be a little on the surprising thing. So like ballpark 3 to 5. This season's not his last. He's said that a couple times now. He will be back next season. I don't know. It'd be awesome for him to get that second natty, but I think it's probably gone now. A couple more Big Ten titles would be fun, though.
While we're looking at some of these starred comments, Moonbot7 asked a while back, I'm going to have to translate for old Moonbot. Do the Huskers win the Big Ten in football before Georgetown wins the Big East in basketball?
Probably.
Okay.
Georgetown kind of sucks right now.
Well, I mean, we're on the upswing, but we've kind of sucked recently too. So, Haas had this question. This is specifically for you, Kevin. Have you been to the? I'm assuming it's Meyer. Thank you.
Yep. Although in Michigan speak we added an S just because
Myers.
So it's Myers, even though it's not actually pronounced.
I'm going to try to speak this in Michigan speak. I don't know. I don't have a Michigan accent. Have you been to the Myers in East Lansing?
That's good.
And
that was spot on. Yeah.
That was a good Michigan accent.
Is it? Does Michigan accent?
It was good. I mean, it wasn't a Uper accent, but that's a totally different ballgame.
That's a different part.
Okay, do it again. Do it again.
I can't find that again. That
was so good.
Have you been to the Myers in East Lansing? And why is that the greatest store in the world? Haas wants to know.
I have. By the way, I never heard from you on how you like the game in East Lansing this year, Haas. I know it was a loss, but I feel invested on the trip. So I hope it was fun. Minus the results of that football game. Obviously, I like the outcome, but Meyer is great. It's like a superior Walmart, and it's a bigger version of Hy-Vee. So if you want Hy-Vee on steroids, that's Meyer for you. They also carry Michigan wine, which I'm a fan of. I got familiar with a lot of wineries in Michigan because my dad was in the timber industry and would apply a lot of vineyards up in the Traverse City region with their posts. And so familiar with them. I like a lot of their wine. So yeah, little
What was your
hidden
dad in?
gem.
What
He was in the
was-
timber industry. So
Ah,
among things, he would do like posts for vineyards. Also was starting to get big on hops posts. Those were actually a lot better because it's like a 22-foot post that gets hammered in the ground like 4 feet. So you make a lot more money on those than you do on wineries
cool.
posts.
That's really neat.
As I mentioned earlier, our Chatterfields are something of a community, kind of like a family. We have each other's back. So Aaron says, adding an S to Meyer, but schooling Husker Chuck on U of M, the gall.
Yeah, you know, it's our accent. Say yada UPA. That, you know, also the other part of the accent for the Upper Peninsula. Because fun fact, Michigan is 2 peninsulas. When I first moved out here, it was always hilarious because I would try to explain, oh, I'm from northern Lower Michigan. And they'd be like, what? You're from an oxymoron? What? Huh? And literally people didn't know that the state was 2 peninsulas. And so I was saying I was from the northern end of the Lower Peninsula. But eventually I stopped hanging out with people who didn't know that, I guess, because now I say I'm from northern Michigan and they assume I'm from the UP. So.
Right.
Whereas my spouse is from out in exurb of Omaha. And so when we meet new people, they're always like, oh, so your spouse is from, you know, cornfields and you're from Detroit. And it's like, no, I'm from as far away as you can get and be on the same peninsula. And he's from outside one of the major metro areas of America. So
one of the largest
congratulations.
growing, fastest growing metro areas as well. All right, I'm going to take a quick look at our notes here. So I just want to touch on Michigan men's basketball again briefly. We know that Nebraska and Michigan are going to finish out the regular season on Sunday, 11 o'clock. This is going to be the end for their head coach, right? Like he can't be coming back after this season.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I personally hope he does. Although it is kind of. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
No, I just said he's entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they actually come out with a formal, I think they did, honestly, formal report on his son's altercation and then Juwan inserting himself into that with a trainer earlier this year. It was a little weird because it was like a fake Twitter account pretending to be somebody major in college basketball saying that Juwan Howard was stepping away immediately and letting the assistant take over, who had, and I should back up for a second. I think Michigan fans need to take this season with a little bit of a grain of salt, given Juwan Howard's health problems. For all of the rivalry and whatnot, on a serious note, the guy's a nice person. I feel like that came out really strained. He and Izzo have a good relationship off the court. They're humans, as Roy Kent taught us in season 3 about footballers. And the man had some serious heart surgery and heart problems, and that takes a lot to come back from. And their struggles this year, I think, in part are because of that. Honestly, some of their basketball might have been better without him there because he's not a great X's and O's guy. To get back on the bashing Juwan Howard train now. So I think that is something to keep in mind on deciding whether or not one thinks that he's going to be fired or not, is that major life event. But having said that, getting back to the trainer incident, it seems like that was based on the description that was reported on. It's one of those ones that is definitely an example of him breaking the no tolerance policy on his altercation problems that he has post games and now pre-practice or whenever exactly it happened. I don't have the story in front of me, but just Google it. Juwan Howard trainer, whatever. I'm sure you'll find it and see about how he got in the guy's face and like had to be restrained and whatnot. And kind of reads like that's good enough reason to fire him for cause. Definitely know something about firing head football or head coaches for cause or this past calendar year. So unfortunately, but yeah.
Any news on that? You're like the National Enquirer.
Oh, on Mel Tucker. Yeah, no, I mean he's fired. Actually, Brenda Tracy, right? That I didn't just screw up her name, did I?
No, it's Brenda Tracy.
Yeah, she's actually suing Michigan State for $75 million. But the Jones Day investigation did point out that they found no credible evidence whatsoever that anybody with Michigan State leaked her name to the media. And actually, the evidence points that she likely was the one who leaked her own name to the media. So take that for what it's worth. Wow, just so much crazy drama that really sucks for all the players on the field, because there were
honestly
a lot of kids whose season just got tanked, that it was their final season in college. And some of them had literally just arrived in East Lansing that year. And so that's really, frankly, the worst part about it is just that it killed the season for a lot of kids that's their last year playing football. And two selfish adults, one selfish adult, depending on how one wants to look at it. Anyway, back to happy thoughts now. Beating the crap out of Michigan on Sunday. Honestly, that would be great, though, just because, frustratingly for me, Michigan is a basketball program that Nebraska has struggled, I think, the worst against in the entire Big Ten. I'm pretty sure they have
like dead last in the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, they are this season. I'm just saying historically, Nebraska, I believe, has the fewest wins over Michigan than any other program in the Big Ten. And honestly, there are plenty of seasons in the, what are we at, 13 years now that Nebraska has been part of the Big Ten, that Michigan has not been very good, and Nebraska still loses to them. And it's infuriating for me, because it's like, why can't you beat them?
Kevin.
Beat the crap out of them.
It's going to happen.
Hopefully a win, but I don't know. It is a road game, so hopefully a lot of you are going to be at Chrysler Center. So,
hey, Minnie.
Yes.
He's on to us. Fred says, serious question. Is it true that Mel Tucker's right hand can turn coal into diamonds?
I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
I wouldn't either. It's a lot of times that's just our response to Fred. This is a question that, according to the notes we have for you, we collectively, what are the chances that Nebraska men will be a Final Four team?
Sorry, was that? I thought that was a question for Minnie. My bad.
No, it's for you.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be honest, right?
Yep.
Oh, he's trying to pass the buck.
Probably not. Maybe if it's like a weird year and the bracket is just really great. Stranger things have happened in the NCAA tournament, but I wouldn't. I mean, it's more than zero. I'd say it's more than zero, but like, 0.0001% or something.
Don't be so negative.
James.
No, I mean, that's the weird thing, though. I mean, it's a one and done tournament, and crazy crap happens, and that's why March Madness is one of the best, most wonderful, cherished times of the year for a sports fan. And for the love of God, Greg Sankey or Skanky or whatever your name is for the SEC commissioner, keep your dirty, dirty Southern hands off the NCAA tournament, you bastard. Stop it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's Rebecca in the conference room. Just stop it. None of you need more money. When she's scolding everybody wanting to move to a super league. I'm just full of Ted Lasso references tonight.
Oh yes. I thank you.
You're entertaining. That's what you are.
Husker Chuck thinks making the Sweet 16 is possible. I don't disagree. And again, it depends. I mean, it depends on what Nebraska team shows up. I mean, this is not a team that can. Obviously, they've proven they can hang with the best teams in the land, but that's got to be on a special night where everything clicks. Or in the game against Wisconsin when CJ Wilcher comes off the bench and has 20+ points. I've always, for months now, I've really lauded Nebraska's depth. because if Keisei Tominaga, ranked master, having an off night, somebody else is picking up, the slack, Juwan Gary or Wilcher or, you just never know who's going to provide that spark. But you get in a tournament, you got to have a few sparks. You got to have a couple guys who are hitting because obviously everybody's playing at the highest level.
Yep. And I mean, that's a thing about the NCAA tournament is you got to also hope that the other team isn't having a freakish performance and you're coming out flat. Or even if you are playing well, that they're not playing lights out, just insanely best basketball they will ever play in their entire life in that one outing. Because I recall a game against Middle Tennessee State where that definitely happened, and they shot insanely crazy well from 3-point range, way, way above their season average. And
yeah,
and thank God for University of Maryland, Baltimore College, because a couple years later, they beat number 1 Virginia and replaced Michigan State losing to Middle Tennessee as the biggest upset in college basketball history. And then, of course, Virginia went on to win the NCAA tournament the following season. And Purdue happened to lose to the number 1 seed this past year, or as a number 1 seed this past year again. And you know what? Honestly, I hope Purdue doesn't go on to win the national title because I hate Purdue basketball. So
why?
It's Purdue basketball. They're all a bunch of whiny crybaby fans. They're so obnoxious.
It's
okay.
Purdue. That's why.
It's you know what? It's
well. So I mean, as an example, like they love to talk about how great Purdue basketball is, and you know what? It's really good. But I'm sorry, how many Final Four banners do you have? You're kind of like Kansas in that way, except without the national titles. In that football. You have, well, Iowa doesn't have that many Big Ten titles, right?
That's the point. Like,
yeah,
with Iowa,
Purdue has more Big Ten men's basketball titles than any other program in the league, even more than Indiana. They replaced Indiana only a couple of seasons ago, actually, which is why Indiana is a historical blue blood and not a modern blue blood. But no, I mean that sort of thing though is like they talk a big game and they have a lot of success, but at the conference level, which is impressive. It's a tough league to win, but you don't have any NCAA tournament titles and you don't really have any Final Four titles or things like that. And frankly, at the end of the day, that's how we mostly measure success in college basketball is how do you do in the tournament? And also they just whine all the time about how Izzo recruits dirty and why, this player decided to come to Michigan State instead of Purdue because MSU recruits dirty. And I'm that's just ridiculous. Like if the FBI scandal proved anything, it's that in terms of recruiting, Izzo is not a dirty recruiter. But don't try and tell that to a Purdue fan because they won't shut up telling you how you're wrong, even though all of the evidence points otherwise. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like Purdue fans.
A couple more questions for you, Kevin, and then we're going to let you go. And then we'll finish up with some football talk. Dondre says Big Ten is a hard-nosed physical conference. Historically, I would agree with that. Do you think that's still the identity of the league right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's still very much a big guys duke it out down low, try to draw the fouls with driving to the rim, stuff like that. I mean, it's a more modern adaptation of that, but it's still very much, and that's probably why the Big Ten struggles so much in the NCAA tournament. I think one of plenty of reasons people can spout off about is the fact that the way that the games are officiated in the Big Ten is designed around a very physical post game. And when you get in the NCAA tournament, you aren't able to do that as well. That's partly why Purdue doesn't do very well in the NCAA tournament is their 7-foot centers, don't really get the calls like they do in the Big Ten, which that's just how it is. So, and to be fair, whoever's the home team gets the calls in the Big Ten. There's really no grand conspiracy theory against any program. I know we all love to complain about that, but the one thing I've learned over the years is I just stopped saying that because really it's whoever's the home team is who gets the calls. And sometimes there's just really bad calls, period. Like Saturday night at Mackey Arena, that was just a terrible officiated game. There were there was like over 5 minutes of game action where you didn't finish an offensive play before there was a whistle and play would stop for a foul. And it was just like the dumbest fouls that they would call too. And it was so frustrating. It was horrible basketball. And yeah, and so all of that to give the very long-winded answer that yes, I think the Big Ten is still very much a hard-nosed physical conference in that regard.
A serious one, and then we'll finish up with a lighthearted one for you, and then we'll let you go. Husker Chuck says, Michigan's one of the 14 states I've not visited. I will fix that soon. If one's traveling to Michigan, what are some must-see places? Like, give me like your top 3. If you're going to Michigan, this is where this is what you need to see. And let's, for the sake of lack of bias, let's keep sports out. Like, don't say you got to go to a Michigan State game or something like that. Let what's give me some highlights that are Michigan.
Yeah, so
your highlights, not Google's highlights.
Yeah, because again, I could do that right now. Do top things to do in Michigan, but nobody wants to see that allegedly.
Yes,
there's obviously vineyards, so
definitely visit in the summer. And if you don't mind flying into an airport like, say, Grand Rapids and making a little bit of a drive from there, definitely Sleeping Bear Dunes, high on my list. If you really feel like a drive, going all the way up to Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore in the Upper Peninsula, absolutely chef's kiss, particularly for a sunset cruise on that one. But besides that, besides those two, I guess since I have to limit it to 3,
you don't have to.
If you're okay, then I'm gonna cheat a little bit. And a day on Torch Lake is pretty great. The water's like Caribbean colors. Walloon Lake is also pretty. It's the summer home of why am I blanking on his name? Big Two-Hearted
Justin
River.
Timberlake.
No, the American author, Big Two-Hearted River.
John Steinbeck. I'm not helping, am I?
Ernest Hemingway. It's embarrassing.
Guy.
I didn't remember his name, but yeah, Walloon Lake in the Charlevoix, Petoskey, Boink City area. Go Boink City. Charlevoix sucks. Shout out to my alma mater. But no, I mean, those areas, pretty much anywhere in the northwest corner of the Mitten, though, in the summertime, you can't go wrong. It's, to this day, still one of my favorite places in America, and I've got 8 states left and 1 territory.
Guam or Puerto Rico? American
Samoa is the only one I have left. I actually was on Guam during the typhoon back in May last year. So I left Guam right before the typhoon and got stranded on Saipan because I did the CNMI, Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, with Guam, since they're all right there as part of the same island chain, but historically, for political reasons, aren't the same territory.
I like that. For political. All right. So for the benefit of our viewers, this is Sleeping Bear Dunes, or at least an image of Sleeping Bear Dunes.
From up on the dune, yeah.
From up, yeah, right, of course, not on ground level. And talking about the clarity of Torch Lake, this is phenomenal.
Ooh.
Yep.
Wow.
Sandbar. Yep. Sandbar at the southern end there.
Not a lake.
That is. It's not floating in midair. Minnie, that's not how it works. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I'm just saying that looks like the Caribbean.
That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal blue, clear, clean water.
How is that possible?
Well, it's not Flint. They have clean water somewhere else in Michigan.
Yucky, mucky.
Andy, we're not going to specify, for her protection, we're not going to specify Minnie's location. Andy wants to know if you're up north or in Phoenix.
Oh, hey, Andy. Because he lives here in Phoenix. That's why.
Nope, and we're not giving away your location.
Okay.
This is a digital background. She could be anywhere in the world.
No.
Yeah.
And I would add Mackinac Island is also pretty nice. So
that's what James says.
Yeah. And even though it's the French spelling with the C, it's the Straits of Mackinac, Mackinac Bridge, although the bridge actually used to have signs spelled the English way with the W. But anyway, the bridge and the island are all spelled with the C, even though it looks like it says Mackinac, it's Mackinac. And then Mackinac City, spelled with the W, which is the English spelling, is all pronounced that same way. So
That is so how I would pronounce it.
I saw
Wow.
Mackinac. I saw this spelling. I thought, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Mackinac.
Yep. Yeah, but that's the French
How do
spelling.
you
So
get-
Mackinac
how
Island
do
straight to
you get a
Mackinac.
W out of a C?
How do I?
Get a
It's the
W out of
French.
C?
How do the French say anything the way
Yeah.
that the French say it?
I don't know.
Blame the French.
Je déteste français.
Ooh,
Wait, what he said?
parlez-vous français?
Je parle petit
all I know.
fromage.
Ooh,
No, I
okay.
did French and I sucked at it. So
Is
I
that a
switched
little
to
bit of
German.
cheese?
Yeah, I like a little. I like cheese a little, or something. Like I sort of love cheese. It's roughly like I said. I suck at French. I switched to German because there's more cognates, so it's a lot easier. Ich spreche kleine
Nein.
Deutsch, but that's like basically ich habe ein Bier. You know, that's pretty much mostly what I can say.
Tres cervezas.
There you go, Mr. Spanish.
All right. Aaron's sneaking one more in before my other silly question. Aaron says, Kevin, favorite member of the Flintstones?
You know, it used to be Mateen Cleaves, but given post MSU era, I don't know. They're all great.
See, this is inside baseball because when he asked favorite member of the Flintstones, I was like, Barney, he's a faithful friend.
Yeah, so the Flintstones were the recruits from Flint, Michigan that Tom
Okay.
Izzo won the 2000 national title with.
I see.
So they were nicknamed the Flintstones because they were, you know, all from Flint and the popular cartoon show.
Makes all the sense in the world now with the
Mhm.
benefit of explanation. All right. There was one here. I thought I had it. I might not be able to find it, but it was specific. Okay, here we go. Question for Kevin: Jake Paul or Mike Tyson? Now, it was announced earlier today that the two are going to box this summer live on Netflix.
No. How old is Mike Tyson?
57.
What?
Will his tiger be present?
No.
Ooh, good question.
Then Jake Paul, I guess. Although honestly, I know nothing about boxing, I have to admit. So I wouldn't actually rely on me to pick who.
I would still probably go Tyson. I
I
feel
would
like
too.
Tyson's still got that
Mhm.
mentality. You know, if he's got 4 months, 4.5 months to train for this. I think he could get himself into tremendous shape, and I think he could destroy Jake Paul. Fred says that the tiger got repossessed. I don't know the validity of that statement. It's coming from Fred.
Probably true. Probably true.
I'm not going to Google it because that's not what the people want to see. So, all right, Kevin, my friend, thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. We know that you're an hour ahead, so it's
Kevin,
late for you.
I just wanted to say one thing. You are my favorite MSU fan.
Oh, thank you.
I think
Mark
And-
Fisherton.
I think you may be the only MSU fan she knows too. Might be like when my mom says that I'm her favorite son, but it's process of elimination. I just want to prepare you for that possibility, Kevin.
He's a cool dude.
He is very cool.
I'll take the wins when I get them.
Amen. Before you go, a serious question from Brando Sports, where Brando's a 5 Nation Army member or 5 Heart Nation member. Yeah, that's what the OGs are called. And then we have Minnie's Army, which is where the extra 400 people are tonight. Brando Sports World says, Kevin, let's touch on Draymond Green. Is he just really passionate, or has he gone completely overboard at times, in your opinion? Did he ever have issues like these while at MSU?
He liked to spout off on Twitter and stuff back at MSU and say, you know, we're going to come into this game playing hard. And then MSU still tanked that game. But he didn't have a habit of hitting other players in the groin or, you know, getting into fights with players at practices when he was at MSU. So, you know, take that explanation for how you want to read into it.
There you are, Brando.
There is no defending hitting other players in the groin. Let me just say that though. There's no defending that. I don't know of any MSU fan who goes out there and is like, "Oh yeah, Draymond's great. You just need to look past the kicking people in the groin thing." That's a total Brad Davison move.
What? Gosh, there's the name I wish to forget. But what if they said something about his mama?
Well, okay.
I mean, somebody says something about my mama. I'm going to prepare for fisticuffs.
When is it acceptable to do that? Is the question.
Most guys will say never because the family jewels be the family jewels. I don't know.
Maybe a punch to the face is more warranted. Frankly, pull a Juwan Howard, but with a fist instead of an open face slap, kind of thing like he did at Wisconsin. But I mean, there are certainly certain things that somebody can say that probably do deserve a punch to the face in certain settings. I know the whole violence is never the answer thing, and there may be some truth to that, but also some people just need a little bit of correcting. So
Melissa says when a man gets out of hand, it's different for women. I think when women feel threatened, yeah, you do whatever you got to do to make yourself
what they teach you.
Feel safe. Right. But for men, I think it's, because we know what it feels like. I don't know of any guy who's never been racked in his life, and it hurts all the way up to your shoulders. I mean, it's worse than childbirth. I'm just saying.
You would know. Give me a break.
I was waiting. I was waiting for some type of reaction to that. Just what I've heard.
Yeah. Ask your wife.
She was drugged the second time. The medication did pretty well the second
time. Drugs only go so far.
She wanted the epidural the second time around. She learned her lesson, right?
Dude, she got the epidural the first time around. It didn't work. She felt everything with our oldest, and God bless that woman. That's all I got to say. So, Kevin, again, brother, it has been almost an hour and a half, and we appreciate your time, but we know that you are living that East Coast life, and it is late, so we'll let you go. We're going to finish up some football talk and a couple questions about our watch-along last week, but we appreciate you, and we thank you so much for coming out and joining us tonight and sharing your wisdom and just having a great visit.
Yeah, no, great talking with you guys again. And I'm not quite ready for Big Ten After Dark just yet. So
it's coming. Be prepared.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye.
All right. And Minnie, let's go back to the notes, shall we?
He's a super cool guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He
knows all the inside scoop. He's like, let me tell you the dirty details.
When Coronation had two podcasts, it was the Five Heart podcast, and it was of Bangerangs and Daggers. And he was on that with Patrick Earhart and Nate McHugh, as I mentioned. And they constantly, at the time, it was like me and I want to say Haas was probably my regular co-host at the time. And it was always back and forth, like, we're the preeminent podcast on Coronation. And they would say, we're the number one Coronation podcast. I'm like, you jackasses. So we've always had that good rivalry. So a lot of great conversation there, and very appreciative of his time. So we're going to shift gears here. We know that we're almost an hour and a half into this thing. So it's spring football is near. It's not quite here, but that doesn't mean that Matt Rule's not putting himself out there and doing some interviews. I know he did one with On3. He did one with ESPN as well, I believe. And Minnie, you've got all that. What is this? What are the kids saying? The hot goss, right?
Not as good as Kevin would do, I have to say. But, guys, I love anything Husker football. So, On3, that JD Pakel host, I guess he got recruited by Matt Rule at Baylor. So he has a relationship with Matt Rule, because this is not the first time he's been interviewed. And it was a short interview, but three of the things that they talked about were, of course, is Dylan Raiola going to start? Everyone wants to know. Also, they talked about the pregame speeches. And what can we expect from year 2, Matt Rule, since this is traditionally the year that everything takes a big jump? And I thought that was a great question, because he even said, we started off far better than we had at any of the previous places I've been. So it is about time we take that jump. Like, we're there. So I'm so glad to hear that. I think all of us are really relieved to hear that, because it just kind of puts our worries aside. The pregame speeches. He's always like dropping little nuggets of information whenever he gives these interviews and even the press conferences. He refers to certain books that he reads. It seems like he's a pretty avid reader.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the books, and he has the guys on the football team read along with him a lot of these books. And one of the books that they read is the Hagakure, I think that's how you say it, Hagakure book. It's the one on what are they called? The old, I'm going to say it wrong.
By, let's see, is it the old ancient Japanese?
Yeah.
Right.
The what are they called? The guys, the only word that comes to mind is tsunami. Anyways,
Samurai.
The warriors. Samurai, thank you. The old samurai. It
The
was written by a
Hagakure.
samurai.
Yes, the Hagakure, or sometimes referred to as the Hagakure Kikigaki, a practical and spiritual guide for a warrior drawn from a collection of commentaries by the clerk Yamamoto Tsunetomo.
Okay. Yeah.
And this was written prior to the year 1700.
Yes. Great book. So I have been reading that book, and they start off.
And by the way, I know that thumbs up
yours
means different things to people under 40, allegedly, but it's positive.
I
My
don't
thumbs
get
up are positive. So
it's all positive here.
that's right. Google led me to Wikipedia, Aaron.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. You know how he has the speech? If we die, we die. If we die, we die. And I
It's
thought,
the moment that stole your heart forever.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I am going to reenact the speech for whoever would like to see it one of these days. I have to practice more. I'm so good at it.
Can you get a transcript of the whole thing?
Oh, I've been writing it down and practicing.
I wonder if we could. There's got to be a way.
I'm sure there is.
Me, and John could like record it and merge our videos to where we
that would be so good. Who doesn't want to give a Matt Rule speech, right? I love doing that. Anyways, if we Gregopedia, half the knowledge, twice the pop-ups.
You laugh, but there was a time I was going to have a podcast and instead of Google, it was going to be called Greggle, and people would just ask me questions, and I give them like that old Hollywood Squares like half answer bullshit, and then be like, no, the real answer is, that was that. I still have that artwork, and I don't have the domain, but because it was never activated, but that's always in there. It's like Greg's like advice type of show. So, Greggle.
That gives me an idea. Remind me later.
I thought you were going to say, that gives me nightmares.
So, if we die, we die. I mean, it sounds super cool, but what does that mean? Like, it's kind of weird. But what it means is, and if you read the book, the very first thing they talk about as a samurai is to consider yourself dead already so that you're not afraid to die. Really cool. Really cool stuff that he's teaching. So in other words, like if we make mistakes, whatever it is, just pretend like it's already happened. What are you laughing at?
Aaron.
What
Read that out loud. Read that out loud for the benefit of the people listening.
Okay, Aaron. Greg just thought of a great new idea where people can call a hotline for movie times. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. So I like the if we die, we die, and it's a form of surrender, right? Whether it's as much of the control of the game is in their hands. There's a lot of aspects of the athletic contest that are not within our control. So if we die, we die says we're going to go out there, we're going to do everything to the best of our ability, and if we succeed, great. But if not, that's if we die, we die, and we rise again next week.
Well, the whole point of it is if you die in battle, you've done everything to prepare yourself as a samurai. That is your daily goal. So you have to consider yourself dead. And when it gets to the big battle, you're prepared enough that if something happens, what does this say?
I'll say this one. The Book of Five Rings by Musashi is good too, Minnie. And Aaron, right after that, says that Musashi wrote something similar about fearlessness. And
I guarantee Matt Rule would recommend it too.
Greatness, recognizing greatness right there. So, no, Fred, stop. As soon as I saw Five Rings, I'm like, oh, shit, here comes Fred. Well, let's talk a little bit about his appearance. And
wait, we missed Dylan.
Oh, we didn't.
Everybody, yeah, no. I mentioned it, but I always save him for the last.
Well, I was getting there because okay. in talking, I mean, you talked about expectations and how we're already ahead of where Matt Rule's are. I guess if you look at Matt Rule as a coach, then his team in Nebraska is already ahead of where his team was at Temple, where in the first year they were 2-10, and at Baylor where they were 1-11. They went 6-6 the second year at Temple. They went 7-6. The next year at Baylor. So they have improved first by 4 games, then by 6 games, and if they improve by 8 games at Nebraska in the year 2, as what our statistics indicate, then Nebraska will be 13-0 after the Big Ten championship. Now, I just want to say those are some lofty expectations that I can't wait to unpack in August. Real quick here, because Josh made it briefly. We got to say, had to swing in and say hi. Chatterfield's got puking children in her house for the 3rd week in a row. Fun times. Yeah, we knew Josh wasn't going to be in too much. I was not expecting him at all. And then Fred says that I'm high. I'm not high. I'm not drunk. This is only number 3.
No, I think he's saying Josh is. That's why he's late.
No. Josh has a very valid excuse. To put it in perspective, and I'll leave his daughter's name out for anonymity's sake. But this was at 8:57. He says, "Daughter just explosively puked all over wife." I said, "Not great." I said, "Descriptive, just not great." So, wait, what is this new? Do we get to celebrate with Highlander Gunn?
Oh,
who's a granddad?
My
is this like breaking news, or is this like I'm a granddad from 3 years ago?
First one. Congratulations.
Highlander, that is awesome, sir. Congratulations from all of the 5 Heart. We'll have to see if there's any Cobby Corn merch that is newborn, infant sized, and we'll have to see if we can send a Cobby onesie. That's just what your daughter and or daughter-in-law, daughter or daughter-in-law would want to see. But by the way, all that merch you can get cobbycorn.com. Just tell them you know John, and you'll get 0% off at checkout. So I'll probably charge you double if you try saying that. So congratulations, sincerely, Highlander. And they named him
Lincoln.
The only way
my gosh.
The only way that Minnie would be more impressed is if they would have named him Dylan. So,
guys, my heart is in Lincoln as well.
Is that because Dylan's in Lincoln? I'm so confused right now.
Okay.
That's not a denial. That's not a denial. Highlander brother, congratulations.
I know. That's so great. Okay, so he said, guys, if we know, we know. And it's like, okay, if we know, we know. What does that sound like to you? If we die, we die.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, if we know, we know. That was his answer to, is Dylan going to be named the starting quarterback in the spring, or are you going to wait till the fall? Basically is the question. If we know, we know. And then he said, all right, we don't want to play any games with anyone. When we do know that we have a starter, we'll let everyone know. But he said it's going to take more than one quarterback to get us through the season. So I think we're still in the same spot we were at.
Fred says, if we die, we die. If we know, we know. Who's writing rules lines? The Sopranos.
He must.
Well, I actually saw
a lot of Sopranos.
I saw a YouTube short from Matt Rule's appearance on ESPN. He was asked that similar question, and he said the understanding and the communication with Dylan Raiola coming in was, we're not going to rush this. Better at the end than forcing it at the beginning. And he says we've got Heinrich Harburg, who went 5-3 as a starter last year, although he acknowledged he got hurt in that third game. So really, I mean, he said Heinrich went 5-2 as a starter. Didn't give that third loss to him. So he says, and we got Danny Kaelin, who's an elite 11 quarterback. He said, we're not going to rush anybody and risk. I don't know if it's like tomorrow's success for today's, wild hair up our ass. So
why would you want to put that much pressure on him? As a fan base, we do it naturally, but if you're coaching him, you don't want him to have that much pressure on him. You want him to earn it, right? What's up?
I was just pointing in agreement as I was trying to take a drink.
All right, drink. drink.
So people are going back to the, if we die, we die. If we know, we know. Josh says, if it's pie, it's pie. And he says, I went to a deli in Philly with Matt Rule once. They asked him what kind of bread for his sandwich, which was Reuben. He said, if it's rye, it's rye.
That was so good.
Serious question, Minnie. Scale of 1 to 10. If Dylan is not the starter, how badly do you beat the 5 o'clock shadow off of Matt Rule?
Oh, I'm not the only one. Let's just be honest.
You're the only one on the show.
I don't know. I think
you have used this platform to announce your expectations, I suppose.
We all have them. It's the most exciting thing to happen in Nebraska football for a long time. for a long time. Number 1 quarterback in the country. Just happened to get him.
Melissa says he will start.
He will start.
I still don't know if that's the
3
case.
simple words.
I
I
still
don't know.
if that's the case.
It'll be interesting.
Aaron says, I'm not the only stalker. and quote from Minnie, March 7th, 9:41 p.m. Mountain Time.
Guys, I know you like to laugh at this, but you are all little stalkers too. We're corn stalkers together.
Joshua Rutherford Hansen is a new YouTube member.
Oh, yay!
Also not his real name or real middle name. The first and last name are real. Welcome aboard, Josh. We will give you your lanyard and your membership card at the next meeting, which is going to be in Lincoln in April.
Okay, Fred, that is not going to happen.
Well, you cannot react to it without one of us first reading the question. Because, again, while 437 of us are watching this live, again, I don't know where the extra 400 people came from, but God bless you. A lot of people are going to tune into this in the audio format only. Fred says, what happens if he, meaning Dylan Raiola, pronouns pal, leaves for another team? Does Minnie burn all her Dylan Beat magazines? Do you have posters on the wall?
He's not leaving.
Do you have posters? DR posters?
Yes. And when I leave the stream tonight, I flip over that Nebraska. And there's Dylan. Kidding.
It just begs the question, why wouldn't you just have that out the whole time for the show? I have a feeling that you're going to try to go to Lincoln, not necessarily for a spring game. You might, or regular, but I have a feeling you're going to try to go for Fan Day, where you can meet and interact with your favorite Nebraska Cornhuskers. See, now I just planted the seed of an idea in your brain.
Okay, I have it on the Google Watch thing for flights for the spring game. Mm-hmm. It's going to be awfully hard for me to get there because my kids have playoffs that weekend.
Yeah, for the spring game, but not for Fan Day. Fan Day's in the summer.
Yeah, but my summers are really hard. I know.
It's like you fly. Okay, here's
like a month.
So here's. I once flew on a Friday night from St. Louis to Denver, caught a puddle jumper to Scotts Bluff to surprise one of my best friends for his birthday.
Are you serious?
And I flew out Sunday morning and got home like mid Sunday morning. And that was for somebody that I know. All right, I'm saying.
How many people do you think are going to be in line on Fan Day?
I'm sorry.
It's going to be insane.
Does it? You were going to volunteer to be on the chain gang at a high school football.
You know why? Because there's not an insane number. I mean, there's a lot of us Husker fans here, but it's not insane like in Lincoln. I mean, I have a chance, is what I'm saying. I have a chance at meeting him.
You had a chance, and then he went to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's in Lincoln. So I'm just saying.
So when's Fan Day?
We'll have to monitor it as we get closer. I just think it'd be a perfect time. Look, you don't want to be in Arizona in July or whatever. Like, you want to go someplace moderately cooler. And Lincoln, Nebraska is the perfect place.
Might be able to finagle it.
Just saying.
Catch a flight. Yeah.
And then you could have the signed autographed poster or little mini helmet right there on display behind you.
Yes.
Look, it's a family affair. You can't have him sign anything like that. All right, calm down. Jeez.
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't have to spell that out for you, Minnie.
Mm,
Anything else we have tonight? We're nearing 2 hours.
nope, that's it. Oh my gosh. Nope.
Well, we had a great conversation with Kevin. And Josh made it. Do you know how long we've been doing this? Josh's kid threw up 3 times. And he still made it here. So oh, yeah, Fred says you can't get locks of hair from players either. Not
Are you
in
sure?
Arizona, you can't, but in Lincoln, anything's possible. Sneak on a little pair of knitting scissors or something. Hey, Dylan, what's that over there? Nothing? No? A little ribbon, put it in your back pocket, and off you go. All right. That is one more question that we had here.
Okay.
Oh, Aaron wants to know how the movie Watch Along went. Was it a stud or a dud? This particular time around, I'll admit, was a bit of a dud. Oh, damn, the thing disappeared. We got 7 minutes in and YouTube kicked us off. They wouldn't allow us to show the movie. So we visited, we talked to other movies. We visited with John and we made plans for, that's right, Highlander Gun called it a dry run. We made plans to try to get together again, probably on Zoom or some more, I'm going to say more intimate, but like more private, where we're not streaming it out to the public and violating copyright laws. So we're going to do that here in a couple weeks, I think. I think everybody's on board for to receive a Zoom link. James Borman's right. It was still a fun night. We still chatted for every bit of an hour. Aaron says Young Guns replaced with John ranting, worst deal ever. By the way, I did, as I think I said Friday night, I had rented the movie for $3.99 on YouTube, and that was good.
How was the movie?
That was good for 48 hours, so I watched it, and it's better than I expected. So
really? Now, are you happy that questionnaire that we took had you as Cesar? No, yes, Cesar Chavez. Chavez.
I'm fine with that.
Is he a cool dude?
I got no beef with Chavez. Come on now.
All right.
It's fine. And you as Billy the Kid, yeah, I can see that. And Dirty John Johnston, definitely can see it. That's right. James says we got to meet Minnie's other half, aka Dylan Hunt. Minnie was dressed up.
His name.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't made him change it. Honestly, they were in the cabin, so it was very thematically appropriate, and I was just here in my boob office room. That sounds bad, but the boob lighting right here, in my hoodie.
Guys,
so I was not.
It was an exciting night because Greg turned his fan on.
That's right.
We've been waiting.
It's roasty toasty right now. Like if the switch wasn't all the way over there and we weren't about to call it a night, I'd turn the fan on. But I've got my beers to keep me cooled. So, when the highlight of the night is Greg's fan being on, I think we're missing the mark. But we had a lot of fun. So it was still a great night. Just unexpected. It took a different turn. So we're gonna try it again in the not too distant future, and we'll make it work, and everybody will be prepared for that. And we got double family gathering last week. It was pretty great. So
it was fun.
All right.
Time. Another night planned in the future for us to all hopefully dress up. Great.
Yeah, I don't know about that dress up stuff. I'm gonna let you read this one, Minnie.
Oh gosh. No, I'm not gonna read that.
All right, Fred.
Fred.
Thank you. Ceiling fan. I'm sure he meant ceiling fan or box fan. If it in a dormitory, probably doesn't have a ceiling fan. Well played, Fred. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Five Heart Podcast. For our guest Kevin Knight, who we he's probably happy that we let him go a half hour ago, but he was tremendous on bringing some of that basketball and Big Ten talk. That's right, the joke landed. We all were picking up what you were putting down. For my friend, and I'm used to you being on. Hold on, there.
Wait.
I moved you so that I still can point in the same direction. For my friend and
You're a one-way pointer. Just like you do you not make left-handed turns either?
I'm a former NASCAR driver. I only make left-hand turns.
Okay.
That's a lie. I don't drive the NASCAR. Anyway, for Minnie Hunt, I'm Greg, the panelist Mahachko. This is the Five Heart Podcast. We remind you each and every week that Five Heart is all the heart you need. Minnie?
That's right. Go Big Red.
Thank you, everybody. All 440 people tonight. We're going to have to just copy and paste
You know
this
what?
title
I'll tell
every
you
week.
why. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's like a classroom in Europe. They're watching us on what not to do. There's like a okay, maybe not.
I think we had a very successful show. We entertained the masses. We got to see all of our friends, and I got to drink Yingling beer. That's a win for me, Minnie.
Win, all win.
We'll see you next week on the Five Heart Podcast here on YouTube and all your other places that you find us, you beautiful people out there. Good night.